estate. The most influential and respected men of Anson County signed the petition, including several who later migrated to the Natchez District. The British colonial governor attempts to resolve the issues, but bloodshed ensues, and it is 1771 before a final settlement is reached. Many of the regulator's principles are incorporated into the North Carolina First State Constitution. Zachariah Smith, by affixing his signature to the petition, became part of an historic effort. Continuing his civic involvement, Zachariah participates in the general muster of the militia on the 19th of November, 1770. On that date, he is recommended to fill a vacancy as ensign for a unit of 52 men. The captain is Matthew Rayford. Zachariah is described as being of Little River. He receives his commission in December 1770. By 1777, Zachariah is signing another petition. It reads in part, "Because of the PD River dividing the county, it is very inconvenient to many of its inhabitants, and they ask for a division of the county with the river as a dividing line." Zachariah's is the 56th signature. There is no record of Zachariah serving in the Revolutionary War. His eldest son, William Moses, is 19 at the time, but his name is also absent from any Revolutionary War roster. Living near the North Carolina-South Carolina border may, and probably did, bring the family into unwelcome and dangerous contact with the fighting. The compelling conditions which caused Zachariah and Frances Smith to uproot their family and undertake the perilous journey to the Natchez District can only be theorized. How did Zachariah learn about this faraway place, now occupied by the Spanish? Was the promise of free or almost free land such an inducement that he would leave his birthplace and his extended family forever? Did the Smiths take a vote? Maybe Zachariah remained friendly with Daniel Boone, his former neighbor, and heard about the Tennessee Territory from this famous trailblazer. Perhaps he was a close friend of Anthony Hutchins, a fellow signatory on the regulator's petition, who had already moved to the Natchez District. Family tradition, early deeds, and son Peter's obituary in 1837 suggests that the Smiths arrived in the Natchez District around 1782. A possible route from the PD River of South Carolina involved traveling about 200 miles using pack horses to the Holston River in northeastern Tennessee. Taking the Catawba Trail to the Wilderness Road Ford, the party reached Kingsport, Tennessee. The automobile driving distance today is approximately 225 miles. At the Wilderness Road Fort, the group secured or built sturdy flatboats with one end open and the other end enclosed for protection. The flatboat had to be designed to allow room for the women, the children, food, bedding, and household items. In addition, they needed a milk cow, chickens, horses, hunting dogs, farm implements, and a few other things like maybe a little bedding. Once aboard the flatboats, the party followed the Holston River to the Tennessee River, entering at Knoxville, Tennessee. Indian attacks were frequent, and travelers had to be constantly prepared. Women often steered the boats, while the men defended all those on board. And after the Tennessee River, the boats reached the Ohio River near Paducah, Kentucky. From Paducah, the flatboats floated down the Ohio River until they entered the Mississippi near Cairo, Illinois. The weary travelers then embarked on perhaps the most dangerous portion of the trip. Traveling southward, they were at the mercy of the mighty Mississippi for the rest of the journey to the Natchez country. When the Smiths arrived here, the British had recently departed. The Spanish government now commands the remote outpost of Fort Panmure in the small river town of Natchez. To get to this unknown country, the Smiths survived approximately 1,400 miles by flatboat and about 300 miles with the pack horses. Though other routes to the Natchez district certainly existed, it is likely that Zachariah and his family chose some variation of this path as delineated in early migration trails to the Natchez country. Family researchers continue to muse about the individuals who might have accompanied Zachariah Smith on this remarkable journey. Were the Fosters in the group? The Gideon Gibsons, whose 2 daughters were married to 2 foster sons? Based on the dates of the early Spanish land grants, we can suppose that the Smiths, the Fosters, and the Gibsons all arrived in the Natchez district around 1782 or 1783. Whether they came together remains an intriguing enigma. Because of meticulous record-keeping, it is possible that the answer will be discovered by scrutinizing the daily arrivals log maintained at the Natchez post during Spanish control. In describing the new regime, noted Mississippi historian Dunbar Rowland wrote, "The Spanish provided mild and paternal rule in all things save those of religion." He indicates that there were no taxes and that the administration of justice was swift. The Spanish government purchased products produced by the residents at a fixed price. Madrid guaranteed hard cash and a ready market for the district's tobacco planters and promised to buy £2 million yearly at the premium price of $10 per 100 pounds. The Natchez Spanish officials were under the jurisdiction of the Governor General in New Orleans. However, the Natchez Commandant was supreme in all local, military, and civil affairs. The Commandant's duties included land registrar, judge, notary public, sheriff, justice of the peace, and garrison commander. Manuel Gayosa de Lemos, Commandant from 1789 to 1799, was especially revered by the district residents because he was deemed to be fair, competent, and tactful. He spoke excellent English, married 2 local ladies, and eventually built a grand house for his family, which he named Concord. Most of the residents lived isolated along Coles, St. Catherine's, and Second Creek, with about a quarter of the population residing in the small town of Natchez. In 1785, the Spanish census lists 1,619 people in the district, including 498 slaves. The historic 1792 Spanish census counts 4,346 people. Even with the names of women other than those who are heads of household and children absent from Spanish census records, the early documents provide valuable information about the pioneers' lives. In Carol Ainsworth McGillicud's 1784 Residents of the Natchez District book, we find this descriptive record of Zachariah Smith. 1 male, age 1 to 15. 3 males, age 15 to 50. 5 females, age 1 to 15. 2 females, age 15 to 50. Slaves, 2 males, aged 1 to 15. 2 males, aged 15 to 50. 2 females, aged 1 to 15. 1 female, aged 15 to 50. Additional data strongly suggests that Zachariah had made a successful transition to his new home. He owned 10 head of cattle, 6 horses, 40 hogs, and had harvested 50 carts of tobacco and 1,000 bushels of corn the previous year. A total of 18 individuals lived in the household. 1 male death was reported. 3 men were able to carry arms, and the household contained 4 firearms. It is very curious that the total number of people, excluding slaves, does not match Zachariah's 12 known children plus himself and his wife. This accounting anomaly is unexplainable. Where was the rest of the family? Zachariah's earliest land transaction in Adams County is recorded February 6, 1784. And I happen to have the deed right here in Spanish, and his signature is right under there, and this is a facsimile of the signature, and you will note that instead of spelling his name Z-A-C-H, Zachariah, who probably knew, spelled it Z-E-C-H-A-R-I-A-H. So little bit of different way, and we spell it the other way. He purchases 240 arpents for $350, payable at the gathering of the ensuing crop at the end of December of the present year in tobacco at the current price in New Orleans. The property contains 2 houses and is located on St. Catherine's Creek, 2 leagues from the fort, bounded by Widow Foster and the lands of Miller. The seller is William Penrice. Widow Foster is Mary, the mother of James, Thomas, and John, who will become sons-in-law to Zachariah and Francis. An arpent is a Spanish land measurement. The official conversion is 1 arpent equals 0.84628 acres. The St. Catherine's Creek property is known today as Foster's Mound. Anchoring the property is an ancient Indian mound atop which Zachariah made his home. The original building consisted of 2 rooms connected by a dog trot or hallway in a 15 by 40 structure. On May 5th, 1786, Zachariah sells that same property to James Foster, his new son-in-law. James, whose first wife Charlotte has died, and married Elizabeth Smith Murdoch Brassfield. Elizabeth, only 24 years old, has been widowed twice. The sale price of the property is $500, for which $250 is paid at the time of purchase. In August 1786, Don Carlos de Cranprix, the Spanish commandant, commands David Smith, a resident of the district, to appear before him and answer charges of sedition. Smith had been born in Anson County in 1753. He may have been a distant relative of Zachariah's, or simply a North Carolina neighbor. Both Zachariah and David are among the signatories of the regulator's petition. Upon arriving in Natchez in 1782, David received a grant of property in the vicinity of what is now Foster Mound Road, not far from St. Catherine's Creek. In 1784, having acquired additional land near Coles Creek, he sells the original 500 acres to Mary Foster. A Revolutionary War soldier and now a prosperous planter in Bayou Pierre near Coles Creek, Smith appears to be a model citizen. However, a seditious letter which he allegedly penned is found on the path leading to Coles Creek. Despite the unusual circumstances surrounding the document's discovery, its content causes alarm as the clear intent of the language is to overthrow the Spanish government. In court records detailing the case of the King versus David Smith, the accused protests his innocence, claims that the letter and his signature are forgeries, and states that both are fabricated by his enemies. Smith goes on to reaffirm his fidelity and obedience to the Spanish government, and further, he requests that an inquiry be made by 12 respectable citizens chosen from the planters and merchants of the district, and one of the 12 is Zachariah Smith. The men soon deliver their appraisal of the conduct and habits of David Smith and unanimously agree that neither the letter nor the signature belongs to him. They state that he is a man of honor whose conduct has always been correct and well known to all the inhabitants. The commandant, satisfied with the inquiry, dismisses the charges, and subsequently the real author of the letter is discovered. Now this David Smith, recovered from the incident, became an important person in Mississippi history. His close relationship with Andrew Jackson drew him into the Creek campaign, and eventually he moved to Hinds County, where one son was elected to the House of Representatives, a grandson became governor of the state, and Smith County was named after him. Already established as a respected man of the district.